And we're on. Hello, Vanessa.
Well, hello, Beverly. Lovely to speak to you.
As always,
Indeed.
not that it's always lovely to speak to me, but
Oh, it
lovely.
is. Believe
Yeah.
me, it is.
So how's your day been?
Oh, I've had a lovely day. I went out for a day in Faversham, which is a little town with a very nice sort of creek on it. And we went out for a Mexican meal. In fact, I actually abandoned the boys. They went off for a walk. And I went and had a wander around town. And I met a couple of old colleagues from my school. So that was nice. So, yeah, and lovely Mexican food. I think you'd have liked it.
Oh, yeah. Well, sadly, it's the margaritas that.
I avoided the margaritas, but there was some very, very nice beer.
I'm sure there was. I'm sure there was. And who knew that there was, Mexican food in Faversham?
Faversham, yeah, nice place, very nice place.
Yes. Well, is it still 1,000 degrees? And
it's actually gone really hot again today. So I think the last heat wave's sort of still here. And obviously we're threatened with more because that's just what it's like this summer, I'm afraid. But it's a bit much. We're not used to it, but we're getting used to it.
It does with the stomach parasite thing going on here in the United States. I don't know if you've heard about that.
I've heard about it, but I don't think we've got it over here. Thank goodness. You can keep it.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Something to do with lettuce, is it, or something like that?
Yeah.
I read something about lettuce with bacteria in it or something horrible.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Yeah, nasty.
I won't say the
no, please don't.
The symptoms.
No, we don't want to know. We don't want to know.
But well, apparently measles is back.
Yes, I think there's been quite a lot of that in Britain as well, because I think the vaccination rates seem to have gone down below what it ought to be, and it's being worked on. People are working on actually using their brains and sort of getting the kids vaccinated, because I don't think it's such a big thing as it is in America, but you're certainly getting a bit of that. You do send some things over here,
Not
always the things we want. Except obviously for people like you when you come and visit.
Yes, well. So you wear a lot of hats.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start off with just a simple question. How would you describe yourself?
Myself? Well, I'm a retired teacher. I make pottery. I like running things and organising things. And one of my favourite, obviously, which is where I met you, is the Oscar Wilde Society, which is a fabulous bunch of people where you meet lovely, lovely people and do lovely things. And, that takes up quite a lot of my energy, but it's fun, so it's worth it.
Yes, well, and so you also know some interesting people.
I do, yes. Anyone in particular you're thinking about? You're fishing, aren't you? You're fishing. Well, I mean, there's plenty of interesting people in the Oscar Wilde Society. I mean, there's from a few famous members to people who just joined, or I met someone yesterday who's going to join the society, who is a lovely young American academic. We had a proper Oscar Wilde day yesterday. Robert Whelan, who is the deputy editor, he's the deputy chairman, and he used to edit our magazine, The Wildian. He did a walk of the West End. So we met opposite Haymarket Theatre, which is where Robert is the archivist. And we started there and we walked around bits of Oscar's London. Fantastic walk, where the St. James's Theatre was, where The Importance of Being Earnest was premiered, and the hotels that Oscar stayed in, and, where the Rent Boys stayed with him. And we just went round all these places for about 2 hours in a group of about 12 of us. It's the sort of Friends of Robert, and then it kind of snowballed. So, you know, there were all sorts of interesting people. So we did that for a couple of hours. Then we went to Tite Street. I'm sorry, Beverly, you weren't there, but we went to Tite Street to visit Oscar's house, which we have done before. We're lucky enough to have society members who who live there, and we went in the house. We had a few drinks. We went and had a look upstairs, which we've done before. And then we had an absolute treat, which you would love, but we actually got into the basement flat as well, which we've never been in before.
Really?
Yeah, really. The Tite Street has got 5 floors. I mean, it was all one house, obviously, when Oscar lived there. But you know, the first floor, we have a friend who lives there in the flat on the first floor. We've got a friend who lives on the ground floor flat as well. But we have never been in the basement flat, and the basement flat is wonderful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's got an extension out into the garden, incredibly beautifully decorated. And the highlight, apart from seeing the back of the house, which we'd never done before from the garden, we all had a look around the house at the flat, and then came out, and we saw bizarrely Oscar's coal hole where they kept the coal. So right by the front door of the basement flat, there's like this little cellar place where the coal was kept. So we all stuck our head inside Oscar's coal hole. Which was amazing. It's not a euphemism of any kind, but we did go in Oscar's coal hole.
That needs to be either the name of a band or a pub.
Oh, it's brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, because it's just so kind of Karen, who lives there, to let us in. You know, there's a Karen who lives upstairs, but there's also another Karen who lives in the basement. And she came on the walk, and she invited us to come and see her flat. But yeah, Oscar's coal hole. So we've now been in the basement, which was the servants' area, the ground floor, which was the dining room, and Oscar's study, which is obviously the study where he wrote the fairy stories and wrote The Picture of Dorian Gray. So it's, you know, always very exciting. And the first floor, which was the drawing room where they did all the entertaining. So Constance entertained all the famous people. So yesterday, it was swanning around Tite Street basically, and it was so much fun. I wish you'd been there.
I know. I'm wretchedly jealous. So
I know.
You know,
but
that's just
I've been there. But
yeah.
So this was fun. So yeah, no, I was going off track there. Obviously, we do have famous people who belong to the society.
Well, speaking of which, let's see. Let's. Well, you're the.
I'm the chairman.
You are the chairman.
Yep.
Which is.
I am the second chairman of the Oscar Wilde Society.
And a woman.
Indeed. I mean, the first chairman was Don, who was one of the Neely founder members. Don Mead, apparently he went to the second meeting. He missed the first, which was at the Café Royal. So they met at, basically the Oscar Wilde Society was founded by a bunch of people who were interested in Oscar. They met at the Café Royal with the idea in 1990 that they were going to have an Oscar Wilde ball. That was the plan. So they met to have an Oscar Wilde ball. They all met and they had a drink and they had a chat, and they, you know, they started, you know, deciding who was going to do what, as usual, as happens in these things, full of ideas, not enough people to carry out the ideas. So the ball never happened, but the society was formed. So Don went to the second meeting, and basically Don was the Oscar Wilde Society. He's still our deputy president. But Don finally had to retire from editing everything, doing everything, organising everything. So at the age of 94, he decided we needed a new chairman, and I became the second chairman. So Don is still a member and still involved. But I'm really, really chuffed to follow Don's footsteps, really.
And you've done a fantastic job.
It's nice to hear.
Now I'm looking here at this is January's Wildian, but
absolutely,
you can can see that.
Yes, that's quite nice. Louise Joplin, the artist on the cover. It's lovely, isn't it?
Yep. So I open this up and I see Honorable President Giles Brandreth.
Absolutely. Giles is a very supportive president. He's wonderful.
And how is he?
He's actually really busy at the moment, Giles. He's doing a show and taking it to the Edinburgh Festival. So he's been practicing and rehearsing with his Rosebud partner, you know, from his podcasts. And the two of them have got this show. It's called something like Up Memory Lane, and they're spending the whole month of August performing it at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So he should be very, very popular. They're, you know, performing it nearly every day. He's been rehearsing it in the club in London where I sometimes go. And he did a show for the members of the club and he was so funny. It was really lovely. Giles is just so supportive and such a lovely person to have as president because, I mean, he drops me occasional voice messages and says, I really liked Intentions, do give me a ring. You know, when you've got a moment, as if I'm as busy as him. And he sends the odd email and says, well done on doing this. And, you know, he's so helpful. But he's just fun to have in the society because he's so well known over here. You know, I'm not sure how well known he is in America, probably not very. But everyone knows him here and many people don't like him, but, you know, because he does so many things and they think he's a show off. Of course he's a show off. He's good at it. He's a writer and a presenter and, you know, it's fun to have someone like that involved.
Well, and he's famous as well for those, you call them jumpers, but we
jumpers, jumpers, yeah. He was wearing jumpers back in, you know, the 1980s when he was first on the TV. And I know he'd say he's been on the TV before that. He probably had, but he became famous in the 80s over here for wearing these jumpers on breakfast TV. And he has a jumper for every occasion. He's even got a dinner jacket jumper, which is one I rather like. It's like a black jumper with a sewn-in tie and collar, so he doesn't have to wear a dinner jacket unless he chooses to. Although he has been seen in a smart suit.
Well, yeah.
So you know, jumpers for every occasion. He comes to events, and he is just so professional when he presents and talks to people. So friendly to people, and obviously he was an MP, and not everyone approves of ex-Conservative MPs, and he's got a lot of people who are still slightly suspicious of him, but he's just a brilliant all-round entertainer and also very clever. I mean, if you've read his books, haven't you? His murder mysteries.
Yeah, they're good.
Very, very good writer, and they're very good. That's how he became involved with the society when he wrote, I think it was about 7 Oscar Wilde murder mysteries.
Yeah.
And they're clever, actually, Beverly, because I don't know if you know this, but the novels are actually carefully plotted so that they actually fit in the spaces where we don't know what Oscar was doing. So they could have happened. Yeah. So any sort of gaps in his diary and times when he hadn't, letters don't say, you know, where he was. And that's when Oscar puts him in these places and in these sort of situations. So he really knows his Oscar.
Yeah, he does indeed. As president, he
ought to. Absolutely.
All right, I'm going down the list here. We've talked about Dawn as Honorable Vice President.
Absolutely.
Then patrons. Honorable
the patrons. We have some wonderful patrons, as you can see.
I'll just read them off. Merlin Holland.
Absolutely. Yep.
Can't
do better than that, can you?
For those who aren't familiar with Wilde's life, can you tell us a little bit about Merlin? Yeah, who he is, why his name is Holland?
Merlin is Oscar's only. So you've there's a delay on there, Beverly, so I missed some of what you were saying. But so Merlin Holland is Oscar's grandson. He is the son of Vivian Holland, who was Oscar's younger son, Oscar's younger boy, and he is he's a journalist, a writer, a wine expert, I gather, and he lives in France, and he basically looks after the family heritage. Very intelligent man, really, really lovely. And he has recently written a book about after Oscar, basically what happened after Oscar died and how the family and the heritage and the story of Oscar continued. So really, really interesting book. You know, there's some amazing stories in it, and Merlin has done so much over the years, you know, to sort of fight misinformation and rewrite stories and get to the bottom of them and write the truth. You know, he's quietly supportive of the society. Obviously doesn't like to get too involved because we are essentially a group of fans, and you know, he has a lot of that and has had over the years, but he is genuinely very helpful, very supportive, and it's absolutely, you know, really special, as you can imagine, isn't it, to have Oscar's actual grandson who's, you know, comes to events occasionally and, you know, talks and
yes, well,
in the room. It's the nearest we're ever going to get, isn't it?
Well, last October, I was conveniently seated next to the podium at the birthday dinner.
Indeed, and absolutely. Well, I had to introduce Merlin. Can you imagine how nerve-wracking that is?
You did a great job. You really did. I would not have guessed that you had any nervy thing about you.
Well, it's very different. I mean, I can teach a class of 30 stroppy children, but you talk to a room full of adults, so you have to introduce Oscar's grandson. I mean, it's absolutely nerve-wracking, but you know,
well,
it's doable.
I would not have guessed that, and I was right there next to you.
It's really nice to hear. The first time I had to speak when I took over from Dawn, I had to follow Giles Brandreth, and I mean, Giles Brandreth is one of our premier public speakers in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, so it was nerve-wracking. You know, you go from school to, you know, introducing Giles Brandreth. I mean, what can I say?
I hear you. So then I'm looking and I see now Sir Stephen Fry.
Absolutely, yes, Sir Stephen Fry, one of the many actors who've played Oscar, and a very good Oscar he was too, wasn't he? I mean, you know, it's not. Everyone has their own favourite films, but he did a really, really, really good go at playing Oscar.
Mm-hmm. And he's in real life. He's very. I mean, because over there, I mean, he's not not well known over here.
No, it's true.
Yeah, all the things, you know, QI and the whole. I don't know.
Jeeves and Wooster, and Stephen Fry. He writes, he presents, you hear his voice on adverts on the TV. He's he is sort of one-man dynamo, really. I mean, he's been part of British life since the 1980s when he became famous.
He's been part of.
I wrote to him as a teenager. I wrote him a fan letter as a teenager when I heard him on the radio for the first time.
Oh my! Wow!
I still have it. So this would be about, I don't know, 84, 85, when he was he did a show with Hugh Laurie, and it was on the radio before it started on TV.
Really?
And I wrote to him because I collected autographs, and I used to write to famous people and get signed photos and the occasional handwritten letter. And I got a lovely letter from Stephen on cream paper with a little logo on it saying Fry. It was like early writing paper from, I know, it's glorious. And it's just, you know, I treasure it. It's so funny. I'd have to tell him about that one day.
Yes, you should. My goodness,
You've not heard that before, have you, Beverly?
I'm looking at Eleanor Fitzsimons.
Yep, Eleanor is a wonderful female patron. I think she's our only female patron, which we obviously need to do something about.
Nope, there are two.
Two, and now here. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing! Now, who else have we got? Oh my gosh!
If we're actually not live, I'll edit that out.
I think you should edit that out. Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. So
we definitely need more female patrons, and Eleanor has been. She is a wonderful academic and writer, and she will go and review something at the drop of a hat and write a wonderful article about it. She wrote the introduction to a publication. She's written about Irish women. She's absolutely fantastic and such a lovely person.
Well, I have at least one of her, two. I think I have 2 books of hers. I think.
Yeah, she's got another one coming out soon.
The women.
Women's World, yeah, the introduction to the Women's World, and then Wilde's Women is what she's most known for, which is obviously the book about all the women in Oscar's life. So his mother and his wife and his friends, and my favourite, Ada Leveson, who was wonderful.
Oh yeah. Now then, Sir, I don't know who this is. I have to admit, Sir Michael Holroyd.
Michael Holroyd is he's a writer who is a very elderly writer nowadays, but he wrote a massive biography of George Bernard Shaw. So he's been a patron since the very early days of the society, and I think it's I think there was a big push to get some authoritative figures on Irish writers. So as I say, he's most famous for many biographies, but his massive biography of Shaw, which is really, really thick book, and it's an amazing biography, really, really good. Yeah, it's a bit like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Michael Holroyd is the Shaw writer and other things as well.
Okay. Neil McKenna.
Yes. Have you ever met Neil McKenna? I don't think you have, Beverly.
I think I have not.
No, Neil McKenna is absolutely lovely. He's such a nice man. He wrote a couple of books he basically writes about gay characters in London. And he wrote a book about Fanny and Stella, who were the 2 Victorian cross-dressers who got arrested, and it's a fabulous book, Fanny and Stella. Great story, really. It's sad and dramatic and completely over the top. And Neil is also very over the top. He wrote this book about the secret life of Oscar Wilde, which basically is a book about Oscar Wilde's sex life, and it's quite something. If you haven't read it, it's a really interesting read, all about the gay underworld of London and what Oscar got up to and what he may have done and what his preferences may have been. And Neil gets very it's very detailed.
Wow, hold on.
You Americans will be shocked.
Well, here, let me find.
You're going to write it on your book list, Beverly.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Yep. Okay.
Secret Life of Oscar Wilde.
Okay. And what about Fanny and Stella?
It's called, I think it's called Fanny and Stella, the other one. But no, you would enjoy both, I feel.
Oh.
And I really like Neil. He's a lovely man.
All right. Good. Matthew Sturgis. Now I've got.
You have many books by him, I'm assuming.
I do.
But... Absolutely. Well, Matthew is such a lovely, lovely man and a wonderful writer. He's written, obviously, the book Oscar, which is the book that is turns Oscar's life almost into a novel. It's factually accurate. It's the most recent major biography, and it's sort of taken over where Elman used to be the book that everyone went to. But Elman is obviously, the Elman biography is littered with mistakes, and Matthew, he's really kind of corrected that mistakes. But what was lovely about Matthew's book was, if you don't know much about Oscar, or you think you know about Oscar, you can read this book and it's like a novel. He didn't want to sort of, like some people do when they write about Oscar, sort of foreshadow all the tragedy and the court case and the downfall or whatever. He just wanted it to be for you to read it as if you experience it along with Oscar. So you go through the story not knowing what's going to happen next, although obviously many of us do, and it's got a sort of fresh eye on it. So if you want to know about Oscar, it's a massive thick book that he's like reading a novel.
Yeah,
you've got it. But anyone who's watching this who think we're whittering on about Oscar Wilde and think, well, I don't really know very much, Matthew Sturgis's Oscar A Life is probably the place to start, I would suggest, before you look back into a sort of whole 20th century of various biographies of various quality and accuracy.
Well, what was I know my first Oscar biography
Yeah.
that I, read as a teenager
Yeah.
was Sherrard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Still read and still relatively well thought of. I don't know actually how accurate some of these books are. You read bits in Merlin Holland's book, and but I think that the best two recent books on Oscar are Merlin Holland's After Oscar and Oscar A Life.
Yeah.
With those two, if you've read those two, you'll probably know as much as anyone, really, who isn't who isn't an expert or an academic.
I remember reading Sherrard, but Sherrard actually knew Oscar.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, some people.
What was your first Oscar biography read?
I don't remember my first biography, actually. It probably was the Elman one, because first thing I really read of Oscar's, apart from the fairy stories, which I realised that I read as a teenager. I had a battered old copy from a jumble sale. The first thing I read was his letters. I love his letters. There were two Penguin I think they were Penguin, two Oscar Wilde letters, Volume 1 and Volume 2. And they were absolutely riveting. It's one of the first things I read, and it was like you're reading letters about business and copyright and scripts, and going out to dinner, and there's sometimes he's talking to friends at length, and other times it's a little note to say, we'll meet tonight at so and so, and the whole thing builds up to this wonderful picture where it feels like Oscar's talking to you, and you can hear his voice. And I just think the letters are, people haven't really read them much recently, I don't think, and they are so good and so interesting.
They really are.
I'd really recommend read the letters. There's some beautiful letters in there. There's poetic bits and silly bits, and it's really is Oscar. You can imagine him sitting at his desk and just scribbling off or in the hotel somewhere, scribbling off a little note to a friend, and they're so good.
I've got the complete interviews. Who wrote?
That's edited by Rob Marland.
Okay.
And Rob is an expert on Vera, the play, and also he's done a lot of research and collected all these interviews. So the interviews, I think the problem with the interviews is that a lot of them are very, very repetitive, because most of the interviews, there's very few English interviews, if any. I think I don't know if there might be one or two, but it's when he went to America. When Oscar went to America, all the journalists wanted to talk to him. And there's this scene somewhere that I've read about or heard about where Oscar would be in a hotel lobby, and then the journalists would come along and have their 5 minutes talking to him and getting their quotes, and then another one would come along, and then another one. So a lot of the interviews are kind of similar.
Yeah.
So 2 volumes is for me a little bit too much, but it's really interesting to have them all collected.
Yeah. Well,
but the letters, I would absolutely go for the letters over the interviews.
If I had my brothers, I'd have a bookshelf behind me, but I don't.
Yeah.
The
interviews are Oscar showing off, and the letters are him performing and being himself and doing all sorts of things.
Yeah. Okay, then we'll move on to Neil Tetley, who I believe.
Oh, Neil is wonderful. I mean, Neil is a lovely friend and a really, really nice man, and he basically spent 30 years touring around the world in his own written Oscar Wilde one-man show. I think he retired eventually when he decided he was a bit too old for Oscar. But he went all over the place. He went to he went to Africa. He toured in did the play on a train in Canada while it was moving. He's done all sorts of weird things. And of course, when he retired from acting, he started writing about it. And he's written about, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 books about his adventures and travels. And he's written scripts, wrote a play about Shaw and a play about Brendan Behan. So very much a man who writes one-man shows. He's also written one for a woman, which is Mrs. Patrick Campbell, which is very good. It's performed at the moment by a lady called Alexis Layton, and she's performing it again in London soon. And Beverly, when you're over here next, you're going to see it. I bought you a ticket. So Alexis plays Mrs. Pat in this play called Not Bloody Likely, which is about the the line obviously from Pygmalion, from Eliza Doolittle, because Mrs. Pat was the original Eliza Doolittle, and it's an excellent play. And I have to say, I jokingly said to Neil once, I didn't think he could write women, and then he wrote this play and proved me wrong. And it's wonderful, as you will discover.
Excellent.
So yeah, amazing dialogue, great conversation always with Neil. He's just very good company, and he's done a lot for the society.
Yes. All righty. And here's the second lady, honorable patron, Joan Winchell.
Of course. How could I forget Joan? I mean, yeah, Joan is our American patron. She is an art collector, and she collects Whistler etchings, which are currently on show in the Whistler exhibition at the Tate, which is amazing. Joan has been really, really kind to the society. She's interested. She's a proper patron. She collects books. She supports us publishing books. She's just a lovely woman, and she comes over here for the birthday dinner and takes part, and she's just lovely. We really appreciate and like Joan a lot.
Well, I believe she behind Devon's Constance's
the autograph book. Joan has supported and helped us to publish, funded and helped us to publish a couple of books, and she's just they're obviously dedicated to her. She's a society patron who we really, really appreciate, and it's true, actually. All our other patrons, Eleanor's Irish, and the other patrons, I think, are all English or British, certainly. And it's very nice to have an American patron, I would say, especially such a knowledgeable and lovely one.
Go the U.S.
Absolutely. American women, absolutely. Well, I mean, America was an important part of Oscar's story, so it's really.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
And then I do not know who the president of, we say Magdalen, you all say...
Magdalen, the president of Magdalen College.
Is that just...
The patron, that is basically the patron is whoever is the president of Magdalen College at the time.
Right.
At the moment, it's Dinah Rose, who is... obviously an academic leader of the college, the first woman president of Magdalen College, which is amazing. So there's a lovely portrait of her on the wall when I visited there. But it's it's the president of the college always, rather than the person who is named. So yes, Magdalen College, obviously, we've been there many times. It's an important part of Oscar's story, and it's really nice to have an Oxford sort of contribution to the society and the patrons. So the president of Magdalen College, there have been several.
Well, okay, I think that we've had a great...
I think that's all the patrons, isn't it, Beverly?
That's all the well, that's it. That's the patrons. Then...
You haven't missed anyone out?
I
don't think so. No, I don't think so.
No, if the Wildean is to be believed,
it's accurate. Absolutely, it is accurate. But as I said, I think we need more female patrons, definitely. So
now, can you talk?
Time we had a couple more.
Can you talk just a moment about the publications, because the Wilde Society UK has more than just this.
The Wildean, yes. Well, the society has always had. Well, we've always had a reputation for really good publications. It used to be that Don edited everything, and the Wildean is our academic journal, and quite a few years ago it became a peer-reviewed journal, so it's very well thought of. It's beautifully written and illustrated. Don was the first editor, Robert was the editor for 10 years, and then it's been taken over by a young academic, Aaron Eames, who is very, he's a wonderful young academic and editor, and he wrote his PhD about the biographies of Oscar Wilde, so he really knows his stuff, and he's taking that on, and it's a hard job, it really is, and he's taking it forward and making it even better. So we have our academic peer-reviewed journal, which is read by members all over the world, which is great.
Yeah.
We have our magazine, the members magazine, which comes out 4 times a year. So yeah, the Wildean is twice a year. It's we're 2 editions. It's a very thick sort of book, beautifully illustrated, and always lovely covers, which I approve of.
Hefty.
It's not chunky, yeah, very chunky. I edit Intentions, which is our members magazine, which comes out 4 times a year, and it's got reviews and more sort of ephemeral things. It's not academic, it's not necessarily footnoted articles. So we put all sorts of interesting things in there. We don't really put creative writing in there, but anything but. So essays, reviews, articles about bits of research, interesting pictures. So the next edition, which I'm supposed to be working on at the moment when I'm talking to you instead, Beverly, because frankly talking to you is more fun. But the next edition is going to have a lovely article by Simon Wilson, who's a retired Tate Gallery curator, and he's written about the Whistler exhibition, which is currently on in London. And the Whistler exhibition has about 29 or 30 etchings which belong to and have been lent by our lovely patron Joan Winchell. So he's written this really nice article which I read for the first time today, all about that, and hopefully when it comes out it'll encourage people to go and see that exhibition. It's a very, very, very good exhibition. We've also got something from Robert Whelan about Rose Leclerc, the lady who played Lady Bracknell, the first original Lady Bracknell. He's found photographs of her, so that's going to be nice. And then we've got a few reviews. So anyway, it's my main pleasure with Intentions is finding interesting content, and I like nice covers. I try and put as many women on the covers as I possibly can, and I have done ever since I took it over. I don't think people noticed for a couple of years, but I tried to put a female on it every single time, and I think it took a long time for some of the men on the committee to notice. So that's our sort of trivial. We put our events in there, we advertise them, we have write-ups of events, and it's sort of the more day-to-day part of the society. And then we have Jenna, who does an email newsletter called Oscariana. Oscariana was a book which Constance Wilde wrote, Oscar's wife.
Excuse me, I'm being blinded by the light here. Let me. There, that's better. Well,
so we have an email newsletter which comes out intermittently, which is called Oscariana, and so Oscariana was a book written by Constance, which is a compilation of Oscar's sayings and aphorisms and witticisms and so on, which came out sort of during Oscar's during their marriage really. And so we thought that it's a perfect name for a magazine, a sort of email which has all sorts of weird things in it. And Jenna Johnston, who editor, is particularly keen on Oscar Wilde in popular music, so she's really happy when people send her like weird links and mentions of Oscar in lyrics and all sorts of strange things like that. And it's the nice thing about it is it's because it's email, you can put sort of clickable links and send people off in all sorts of weird directions, which obviously you can't do with a book that has to be printed. So it's much more immediate. You've got a theatre production, you can just click through and have a look at it, or you could put a YouTube video of some song where some weird pop star is singing about Oscar.
Well, that leads me to a certain member who is also has written a book which will be released in September, I believe.
I think there's probably several, Beverly. Which one are you talking about?
Well, a member named, I believe, what's the bloke's name?
Is this a mint green book by any chance with a lovely picture on the front that might be in the yellow book, that might sort of belong in the yellow book?
No,
No, another one. No, as I say, there are plenty of books. I'm thinking of Valerie Fellbaum's book about sort of
yes.
Victorian journalists and yellow book stories. And so which book are we? Which book? I mean, there's so many, aren't there? There's so many books, but there's so many books, Beverly.
I know, Arthur just.
You've gone off Oscar Wilde, haven't you? You're talking about other things.
Well, just marginally. But yeah, one of the Wilde Society members.
Yes, of course. I was thinking about books which had, a mention of Oscar or
no
connection. But no, yeah. I am very, very much looking forward to going to a book launch in September and hearing a bit more about this book that's been written by one of our members, which I know you're very excited about.
Which I am, yes, and we will be at that book launch.
We will be at that book launch, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, it's what I find really interesting is apparently this book, which we're not naming at the moment because we're just being irritating, only covers 10 years of the career of this person. True. Which I think is intriguing. I mean, I don't remember any books actually about Oscar where people have taken a chunk of his life quite like that and just gone into that sort of depth. Maybe the American tours or, but anyway, 10 years of someone's life is, there's a lot going on, isn't there? You're dying to tell everyone.
We shall see. I'll go ahead and we back? Are we back?
We are back. You phrased there, so you might have to do a little bit of editing, my dear.
Yeah, yes.
So shall I tell everyone what this book is? Oh, you want to, don't you? Come on.
No, you go.
I'm really looking forward to Beverly coming over to London again. And one of the reasons Beverly's coming to London, apart from to swan around with the Oscar Wilde Society, is for the launch of Marco Peroni's book, which is about 10 years of his career, covering the, Adam and the Ants sort of section, isn't it? That's part of it, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic and fascinating to read about because we're both fans. You know. I would probably say if I dare face him that I was probably a bit more of a fan of Adam, and I know you were always a fan of Marco.
Well, there is that. But yes, so the name of Mr. Peroni's book is Your Money or Your Life.
Perfect.
From punk to Prince Charming.
Fantastic.
Because he started out in the punk Sex Pistols, era. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's just.
Well, I do love a book launch, so this is going to be so much fun.
Launch and I'm dropping names and promoting anybody who's interested in that period of musical history to get a copy of Marco Peroni's book.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really looking forward to reading it.
So, all right, now here again.
Well, we shouldn't name drop famous members of the Oscar Wilde Society. It's just not on, Beverly.
Well, it's my channel. I'll do.
You can do what you like.
All righty. Let's move on to you.
Me.
Yes, you're my guest.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about your career. Mm-hmm. As well, what put you of a mind to be a potter or an artist generally?
Well, I've always been interested in art, and I was one of those children who sort of brought up in the countryside, and I read books, I listened to music, and I drew things, and I made things and built things, and I used to try making perfume from weird things in the garden, and I used to paint pebbles, and as quite a young child, so I've always been interested in art and making things, and I've never stopped. I wanted to go to art college. No one from my family been to university or anything like that, but I was always going, and I went to art college and had I did a foundation course, did a degree in fine art, which I loved. I went to Stoke and had a whale of a time there, which is also where I discovered Oscar. So I did painting and drawing, along with quite a lot of art history. Brilliant art history lecturers, actually. I really loved, particularly one of them who got me interested in Victorians, really, which was Colin Crews. He's a wonderful writer as well. He wrote a book about Simeon Solomon, the Victorian artist who did all these sort of slightly decadent, handsome men, and another scandalous Victorian, really. So, but Colin used to talk about Rossetti, and he'd talk about Ruskin, and he was just brilliant. So I loved all of that. I had a whale of a time in Stoke running the Drama Society with my friend, got into Oscar Wilde, and then I went and became a teacher. And I taught in secondary schools for 32 years without pause, pretty much. 3 different schools, I did 10 years in one, or was it 8 years in one, 4 years in the next, and then 20 years in another one before I retired. But I hadn't done any pottery apart from using air drying clay, which is frankly a bit rubbish. I did some sculpture in school, but air drying clay is pretty awful. So in my most recent school, we got I went to pottery classes, essentially. I sort of took the Grace and Perry route and went to evening classes and took up pottery. And it was literally a case of, I've always wanted to do pottery, and I've always wanted to do stained glass. And I was going to do an evening class, and it came down in the end to what day the classes were on. So I signed up for pottery, and the first time I went along, I just got the clay in my hand, and I was just so happy. And I absolutely loved it right from the first lesson, So I did classes, and I got better, and I made lots of rubbishy things. And eventually we got a kiln at school, brought in a proper sort of pottery department within the art departments. And I've been making pottery for, I don't know, 9 or 10 years. I can't remember. I lose track. So I've now got a pottery shed in the garden. I make things, and I need to work a bit harder on trying to exhibit them and trying to sell them, because I'm frankly running out of room. But actually, pottery, making things and painting things and glazing things, it's just it makes me happy. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful. You just go down the shed for half an hour or for 5 hours, and you just do things. And
well, is it therapeutic?
I never think of it like that, because I'm not interested. I don't like the idea of, I'm not interested in the idea of, like, you do things for your mental health, or you do things for therapy. I just do it because I love doing it, and I've always done it. I'm usually, I think being creative does make you happy anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe I've been lucky because I've done it all my life. I've always done something. And whether it's learning crafts or painting things or drawing things, or even when you're a teacher and you're horribly busy, you have to spend time making resources and examples to show the students, and you paint things and draw things along with the students and all of that. So I've always done it. Maybe it's one of the reasons I'm a relatively cheerful and possibly well-balanced person, because I've always done art. I don't know. But I'm not.
I only ask that because I do know some people who go on about, it's so therapeutic. It's almost.
Well, I think if you're engaged in something that you love doing, it's, I don't like people who, talking about, you're doing it for, you're doing it for this reason, you do it for that reason. You do it because you love doing it.
Yeah.
And because you have to do it, and because you want to do it. And it's the same for other people. You might be writing, or you might be into dancing, or you might be whatever. Yeah. But if it's something you love doing, you do it. And, it's very hard not to do it. So,
Yeah.
Take up art, do more art, try pottery. Not everyone likes it, but
Hold
it's
on.
what I like.
Oh, yep. Well, I can't draw
You've
stick
frozen
figure,
Beverly, so you've frozen Beverly.
but yeah,
Everyone can draw, but some people can draw better than others, and some people, some people are happy with how they draw, and some people want to be realistic or want to be a perfectionist or whatever. I mean, I was never taught to draw, weirdly. When I did art at school, art teachers in my day, they didn't really teach you how to draw. They didn't teach you anything about composition or how to hold the pencil properly and things like that. So you sort of teach yourself if you're interested enough. And over the years, I got better and better, because I wasn't, I was better than most, but I wasn't particularly good. I probably peaked at about the age of sort of like 21 or something, and then it's all been backwards since. So I'm hoping to peak in pottery in about sort of 20 years time, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, anyone can draw. Give it a go.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to sadly end our conversation at the moment, because I'm being told that we're at 56 now.
Well, when we get together, we do talk a lot.
Well, yes, it's a wonderful world well, parts of it are wonderful.
Indeed, there's always lots to talk about that is.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I have introduced to you today, I hope in a nice, good way, the chairman of the Oscar Wilde Society UK, Vanessa Heron. And we've covered lots of different topics that I hope you'll find interesting. And I'll do the requisite, please, if you like this sort of chatty stuff with people who actually do good things, please like and subscribe.
Absolutely. And also have a look at the Oscar Wilde Society website, because there's a lot to see on there, definitely.
Absolutely. So with that, I will end the recording. Vanessa, if you'll hang on, we can chat. Okay? Bye, everybody.
Lovely to talk to you, Beverly.